Good morning, students. Hope you're all doing well. In this video lecture, we'll try to finish this chapter, the Harappan Civilization, Bricks, Beads and Bones. So the topic that we should be beginning is the ancient authority. See, we have already established the fact that there was some kind of central authority in the Harappan civilization, because all these complex decisions that needed to be taken could not have been taken without an authority backing it up, or without an authority planning out all this stuff. So what are certain features that indicate planning? The first thing is, all the artifacts of Harappan civilization, whether they are the seals or the weights or the bricks, they are all uniform in their size and in their outlook throughout the Harappan civilization. It is not that these things were being made at one particular place, rather, directives were given to all these settlements to make it in a particular way. Then we have also seen that certain settlements, especially those which were trying to procure raw materials, had to be set up near the source of raw materials. So these directives that certain settlements need to be set up at certain places was also given by a authority. Then, while doing the construction or the layout of Mohenjo-daro, we have already established that in order to construct the foundation of citadel, or to build the foundation of individual buildings of lower town, you needed to mobilize labor on a very large scale. So this mobilization of labor also required a planning authority, a central authority, to give out instructions. Then we have also seen the fact that the town planning and construction of drainage required an authority to plan this out first, implement it later on, and then finally allowing the residents to move in. Whereas even for organizing trade, that is overseas trade or within the civilization or within the subcontinent, you required an authority to implement everything smoothly. So we do know for a fact that an authority existed, but where does the problem arise? The fact that we don't know who this authoritative figure was, whether it was a single person indicating single source of power, or whether it was multiple person. So let us now look into certain artifacts that tell us, that indicate us, that give us an indication about the political power within the Harappan civilization. So while searching for an answer about the authoritative figure in Harappans, certain finds or artifacts have been closely associated with it. The first one was a place labeled as the palace by archaeologists, which was found in Mohenjo-daro. It is a fairly large residential complex compared to the other houses which we have seen in lower town. So this has led to the scholars infer that this might have been used as a residential place for a prominent person within Mohenjo-daro. Then we have the statue of the priest king, which has been found within the Harappan civilization. Now, this person could either have been performing religious rituals, so he might have been a priest, or he was a man of political power, or he might have been both. As we have seen that Mesopotamian civilization also had a figure known as the priest king, what historians try to do is they try to draw a parallel while reconstructing history. So they have three options in front of them. Either this statue belonged to that of a priest or a king, or both of them. Okay, so there are only two artifacts which we have associated with political power within the Harappan civilization: the palace as well as the priest king. Then let us look into what are the different approaches or theories that archaeologists hold about rulers of Harappa. The first one is there was no rulers within the Harappan civilization and everybody enjoyed an equal status in the society. So this was one of the earliest theory. Obviously it is not the most plausible or the most likely to be true, as we all know that complex decisions require some some skilled person at the helm taking charge of things. Okay, so everybody, like just like a democracy, everybody cannot rule. Okay, there has to be, you had to have a representative. Same way here also, this theory is discarded, but you need to know that this theory suggested that everyone within the Harappan civilization held equal status in the society. Another theory states that within the Harappan civilization, each major settlements, or you can say a small city state kind of structure, so each of these small settlements had their own king. Okay, so they were not one but several rulers throughout the Harappan civilization. But then, is it possible that all the rulers will come together and, take such uniform decisions for the entire region? It is very unlikely that all of them will converge their thoughts or will agree at something. Okay, it's very difficult for a lot of people to take consensus, to arrive at a consensus together. Now, finally, the last theory states that the entire Harappan civilization was a single state. Okay, was a single state, but we do not know who the central authority was. It might have been a person or a group of people. We don't know that, but we do know for a fact that this entire civilization was a single state. So this last theory is the most plausible one. That means it is most likely to be true. Now, just the historians need to find further information whether it was a single person ruling this entire civilization or a group of people doing so. End of civilization. Okay. Regarding the end of Harappan civilization, we need to keep in the mind that it was the mature phase of the Harappan culture that came to an end. What followed the mature phase was the late Harappan culture, which you can give a roundabout date of 1800 BCE or 1900 BCE, and which is indicated by the fact that most of the mature Harappan sites were abandoned and the population left the Indus Valley plain and started moving along the Gangetic plain. Now, this is very important. What are certain features that say that Harappan, the mature Harappan phase went into a decline? Was the fact that there was a transformation of material culture. Okay, the culture that existed in the mature Harappan period when underwent a transformation. So all the urban elements which were present in the mature Harappan period, it disappeared. What were the urban elements? We can say for a fact that all the uniform artifacts such as weights, seals, beads, writing, all this disappeared. Then even craft specialization and long distance trade which the Harappans were carrying out, that also came to an end. Their advanced housing structure and drainage technique, that also deteriorated. Okay, and finally the fact that there were no public structures during this phase that was constructed also points out to the fact that rural elements came into play here. Okay, just like in mature Harappan period, you had great structures such as Great Bath, okay, the warehouse, the granaries. Just think of it, so many beautiful structures you had, so many grand structure which evokes a sense of grandeur was there in the mature Harappan period. But as the late Harappan period or the successor culture began, all these things that we hold dear to the mature Harappan period went into decline. Now, what are the reasons why this mature Harappan culture experienced a downfall? Okay, so we'll be looking into it. Several explanations have been given by historians, but again and again they have been refuted over time. Okay, there are certain reasons such as deforestation, excessive flood or drought, shifting of river routes, climate change. Now these things would be true to certain settlements, okay, who were actually reeling under the effects of these things, but it cannot hold true for the entire civilization. So the most plausible or the most correct theory that you have in today's time is the fact that the Harappan state, which was the unifying element of the entire Harappan civilization, this state came to an end. Okay, this is the most plausible theory. The others, sure, it might hold true for certain civilization. I'm sorry, certain settlements. We are not discounting that fact, but an entire civilization which was huge in its territorial extent cannot just come to an end without something that is unifying it that comes to an end. So what historians say, it's the unifying element, that is the Harappan state, that came to an end. Now what